move on to the next page and just deal with what we have. So again, let's get back to Falcon talk, y'all. Brother Tack came out, and listen, I remember, and I think that was probably when I first started doing the live, and I think it was right after Tack was drafted. And one of the things that I'm not huge on, and I'm not huge on it at all, is a lot of talk. And I remember when we moved up to get him, and I remember he coming up with his grandmother, and I know that was emotional. I don't want to try to get into another man's heart that his grandmother meant everything to him and stuff. But I remember the reaction of everybody when he went up there and how, oh, we need some dog. We need some this. We need somebody with that passion. We need somebody with all of that. And I kept saying to myself, yeah, I see it. He cussing. He on stage. He's emotional. But is that going to win us some games? And is he going to be the other side of Vic that we need at that time to bring some more pressure? And kind of like Vic Beasley, he had a decent first year, but he hasn't backed it up. So now we got Sile Grace because you haven't played to the potential of your contract. Therefore, we're going to forego your 5th year. Now you want to be motivated. Now you want to say you want to put all the work in. Why now? You should have been putting that work in earlier. How am I supposed to believe that you're supposed to be this motivated guy? You should have been self-motivated before we even got to that contract. I mean, that's the bottom line. I'm going to argue at least Vic gave us a very good season out of all of it. We can't erase what he did in 16. He didn't back it up. And I almost think to a fault, I think Dan Quinn gave him that contract. I honestly think they gave him that contract for what he did in 2016. I really think so. I don't think they gave him that contract for anything else. Horrible move. But I think what they did with Tack is they had said, hey, we learned our lesson. We're not going to get fooled again. Give us the goods. We'll give you the contract. He didn't give us the goods. He didn't get the contract option. He didn't get the option year. And that's $10 million. I'm sure he was counting that. So, yeah, I agree. Jalen said Earl is a cancer. And it's kind of interesting since he left Seattle. And, yeah, he played good for Baltimore last year. And but at the same time, is he really that person that you want to hang your hat on right now? Because he's not taking less than 10 at the safety position. Yeah, shoot, I'd go get Clowney before I get him, and y'all know I haven't been a fan of that. So no, I don't believe in that. Rusty, what's going on, brother? So I missed your episode last week because I was up in New Jersey on vacation visiting fam. I did see that. I'm on the way back to the house and my internet is down for some reason. I'm going to miss the rest of the show as well. I'll catch you next time. Brother, you be good, man. Enjoy your vacation. Rusty is a regular. Appreciate you. Jalen says they've been wanting to cut him since last year. Philip said we got a lot of depth on D. We shouldn't get tired like we used to. I do like the depth. Conley said, do you think the Falcons can make the playoffs if we stay healthy? We're going to answer that question in a few minutes as we go down our NFL predictions. Brother Gregory says Tack just needs to shut up, play ball. He's the best example of that on his team. Julio, a parrot, can talk. See, that's my thing, Gregory. The talk and the bravado, all of that is for commercials and endorsements. I got to see it on the field. Baker Mayfield talked his way into every single commercial for the NFL last year. Every single commercial you saw. Baker Mayfield Hulu. Baker Mayfield somebody's insurance. Baker Mayfield probably eating Oreos. All of that. And what did they win last year? Did they win 6 games last year? I don't want to hear about talk. I don't want to hear about it. I want to see you play. And there is nobody on the Falcons right now. And look, Matt, Julio, love them to death. But they're making salaries right now where the accountability level has to be taken into consideration. Nobody gets a bye this year. This is the Kenny Loggins, this is it. And some of you millennials don't know about that. Go back to the 80s. But this is put up or shut up, but especially shut up. I don't want to hear about you motivated. You should be motivated. You should be motivated being in the NFL. I wish you would have told us that before you went across the stage, cussing and carrying all that on in the draft. Leave that mess alone, man. Stop getting involved in that. You haven't earned that 5th year. Yeah, for anybody that want to come back and say, well, has Keanu Neal earned his? I think when he was on the field, he did. He came to play all the time on the field. Come on, man. That's crazy. Jalen says, I wouldn't give Tack a contract after this year. Only a prove-it deal. Tack would be an excellent hype man. Yeah, that's about all. That's about all he is. And I'm still waiting for him to cut them dreads. Wasn't that supposed to happen? JD says, Earl is a cancer. I got you, bro. Man, I can't type either, JD. It's all good. Brother Ken, rise up, man. Perry says, fam, Tack looks shot with it, with the attitude. And I'm like, he won't be a Falcon next year. His attitude, it just don't sit right with me, in my opinion. Well, here's the only thing, Perry. We need to take advantage of his misfortunes. Because right now, he's playing for his next contract. Because I got news for you. If you don't show up this year, nobody gonna pay money for you. Nobody. If you get less than 4 sacks this year playing defensive end, nobody's gonna pay $10 million for you. No, sir. So save all the cheers and all the now I'm motivated stuff. Say that for somebody who cares, man. I can't hear that right now. You know what I need you to do? I need you to go out on the other side of Dante and give me 8 to 10 sacks. Because unfortunately, that's the ceiling that you've shown. And I'm gonna support you. When you get 12 sacks, I'm gonna be the first one sitting there rooting for you, jumping up and down. But that talk doesn't impress me with that. I need more than that. JD says, I believe that we're going to have a great defense because of Raheem Morris. I think that was the best move this year. Earlier this year, we were talking about that. I think strategically, that might have been the best move they made to make him the defensive coordinator on that team and take the reins away like they did at the half season away from Dan Quinn. Something about Raheem Morris, maybe he's meant to be a coordinator. I'm sorry, not offense, but a coordinator. But some guys are like that. Some guys are better coordinators than they are head coaches. And maybe he's one. JD said nobody gets a pass. Absolutely. Said that Kenny Loggins was my jam. I love that song. I do. What's up, Frank? How you doing, man? Good to see you in there. Thank you for joining us. We just talking right now about Tat McKinley and some of the interview he had this week where he was talking about him being more motivated, even though he said he's always motivated, but more motivated because they didn't pick up the contract. But I'm trying to tell you, he's not going to get any Kleenex tissues or anything from me. I think you are a big boy. You were drafted in the first round. You were drafted in the first round. That means the potential, we thought you had potential to be great. And right now, you haven't shown that great factor. You're about a step below Rashid Hageman, in my mind. Jalen says Tack needs to go see Chuck. See, Chuck told him how he felt. They didn't want to hear that from Chuck Smith. Chuck Smith told him how he felt. That hurt their feelings. JD says Neil made a difference. I wish Neil could stay healthy. That's the only thing with Keanu. I just wish he could stay healthy. Again, I keep going back, and y'all tired of me saying it. It's like William Moore. William Moore was the same exact thing. When William Moore was on the field for the Falcons, he did things. And when he was off the field, unfortunately, we had to fill in with safeties who weren't ready to play safety. Gregory Bennett says Tack gets 11 and he's a Cowboy next year. That's fine. I'll take the 11. If that helps our defense, that's fine. Let the Cowboys overpay for him. That's fine. I don't care. If you give us the one flash in the pan year, that's fine, and go to the Cowboys. That's not hurting my feelings at all. RJ says, I didn't like his answer when he asked about his position. Yeah, and see, that's the thing, too. You know, you're not in a position to question how, you know what, it's a free country. You can say whatever you want to. But my thing is, dude, if you're giving up the production that you've been given the last couple of years, I'm going to just need you to probably ban yourself from interviews for a little while. And until you show up. And I like Tack. I do. I've listened to him talk before and listened to him, you know, express himself. And he had a couple of motor moments his rookie year. But since then, I mean, he really hasn't. I know he had an injury too. I know. But that defensive end, that's a spotlight position, especially on the defense. That's a spotlight position. We hired you. We drafted you and moved up because we thought you had the potential to be great, and you weren't. Gregory says, we diehard Atlanta fans never seen this many moves in the offseason, not on both sides of the ball. Embrace the change. Smell the 16 yet again, if not better. We're going to do better than Tampa Bay. It's our division for the taking. All right. Well, hang tough because we're going to ask you your opinion in a second. Brother Frank says, I agree, bro. It's about shut up and play this year. We need to start over, but I don't believe it will happen because of COVID. You know, I'm at a point right now, Frank, where I'm saying, you know what? They out there and they're moving. I think it's a little different case than it is in college. I think these guys know, as far as money is concerned, they probably have the richest contract in American sports, what these owners are paying them. And I think it's their responsibility to try their best to keep themselves safe. And I say their responsibility, let me backtrack. To try your best to stay as safe as you can. Stay away from the Magic City Wings, which must be good. Lou Williams will tell you. And try your best to have a season. But I hear your concern, though. Don't get me, you know, I completely hear you. Brandon says, step below Hageman. Hey, man, that's the best name I know. Brother David, how you doing, man? The pandemic concerns me. I have zero faith in Tack, and I think we'll be looking for a DN in the draft. How are we supposed to evaluate talent when most of these guys in NFL grades are out there now? And that's a legitimate question, David. This is a year that you're going to have to think outside the box. This is a year that's going to be troublesome when you're talking about scouting for next year. Some of these conferences that aren't playing this year, how are you going to grade them? You can't grade them by just what they're doing in the gym. So, yeah, it's going to be a tough one. It really is. So hopefully we do our evaluations and come out right. Brandon said Chuck told the smooth truth about Beasley. He absolutely did. I see that rant all the time on YouTube. Y'all don't see it, check it out. Chuck went off on both of them. Because Chuck doesn't like that, man. Chuck had a motor. The guys who have motors don't like guys who kind of are lackadaisical in their effort. And I think that's what happened with Beasley a little bit. Beasley seemed like he sometimes he didn't have that motor. And that's the difference sometimes between this level and this level. You got to have that motor. Perry says Tat won't get 11 sacks. He misses his mark with the teams because we have dogs on the time that going to get more sacks and pressures than him. Fam, look at the depth chart on defense. And the depth chart is starting to look good, man. It really is. You look. That's going to be nice. Brother Fred, how you doing, man? NFL should follow the NBA model for COVID-19. And I think in certain ways they're going to try. But the hard thing about it is you're talking about 53. That's just the players. 53 players staying in the same place, doing the same thing. We can't make a city that big, or we can't have one location that big that has 10 football fields and we just go out and play. That's going to be tough. But I do understand what you're saying. Again, be responsible for each other from a player standpoint. Don't go where you're not supposed to go. Don't go to questionable places. Don't go to places with a lot of people that you can do it. Nobody's saying not go home to your family, but I'm saying, keep it back and forth, making a lot of money. And it's not about just the fans right now. I mean, even though you get paid to show the game to fans, but it's about being responsible. And let's face it, if you have an outbreak, you're not going to play and you're not going to get paid. So I don't know. Gregory says Keanu is 215 pounds is going to help. Absolutely, it will. I hope he just get it on his legs and ankles down there. Team, not time. Perry, don't worry about it, brother. Like I said, I mess up all the time. Type. Frank says, I don't care if it takes a good year or not. It's time to move on from him. That's our opinion. I hear you. Brandon, especially the 4-3, Tat got to step up and be accountable. Absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind that Tack is gone after this year. Unless he comes out and gives me 17 sacks this year, and even if he did, I'd still sign him to a 1-year contract. Maybe sign him to the 1-year contract we didn't do. I wouldn't sign him to a multi-year contract because you didn't give me multi-years of production. So, no. JD said if Tack can't get it this year, I don't know what to say. I got it. And says, how do you see the left guard battle ironing itself out this year? Lord have mercy. Didn't I see Jamon Brown? Did he get hurt this week? I think that's what I saw. I'm hoping they give Hennessy a good shot at it. I really do. Just to even have him on the field, and I know they're probably grooming him to be the heir apparent to Alex Mack, but I'm hoping he gets it. Brother Markeith, how you doing today, brother? Rise up. I hope that Hennessy ends up working itself out and getting that job. RJ say Tack needs to take the same approach as Harris and just put in the work and don't worry about the interviews. Tell him put the performance on the field. That's it. Gregory says Beasley is speed only. Absolutely. No moves. Robert Bobby Dynamite Curry. I think we should just stop drafting DNs because it's not working out well for us. That probably it. Well, this year we ended up paying the money for it, for at least a proven commodity. And if y'all haven't had a chance to go on AtlantaFalcons.com, go check out the Dante Fowler soundbite. He had the mic on. I thought that was pretty entertaining. Philip says it's going to be hard to watch the Aints and the Suts game this year because I want to see both of them lose. Join the club. Brandon says McGarry and Lindstrom are going to be mauling run blocking unit. Can't wait to see. See, I'm not like everybody else doom and gloom on the offensive line. I think the offensive line is going to be pretty good this year. I think they're going to actually do some things. Not saying they're going to be the hogs of old Washington Redskins yesteryear, but I'm saying I think they're going to be better. Lisa said, also, don't try to sneak women into the team hotel, Seattle rookie. Woo! Boy, I know he was thinking, man, of all the things for me to get cut. Boy, yeah, not good. Perry said, McGarry, Presser, I was like, bro, smile, you in the NFL. I love it because he's going to fight somebody this year. I don't have a problem. You know, McGarry had his little transgressions this spring too, the off the field things. So good. Just like you say, good. Keep it like that. AJ Terrell will become AJ territory. All right. Well, see. Brad and I agree. I think the O-line will actually be very good. Brother Jimmy Wayne Hall. How you doing, Jimmy? Jimmy has Hallway Conversations. Y'all check that podcast out on Spotify. It's some good stuff, hitting all sports and especially football. Jimmy says, I'd rather the Saints win but that first game, but if someone had to put a tie, is best. I don't see the hype with the Bucks. I don't see it either. I really don't. So I had a chance to sit down and break down. Last week, what we did was we went game by game, and we were talking about who had the best chance of, what games we had a chance to win. I think I came out with a 10-6 record. But what we're going to talk about now is each division, what teams are going to win the division, and do you see any wild cards coming out? Also, remember, keep in mind that this year there are 7 teams. So we got 3 wild cards this year. So you have the 4 division winners and 3 wild card teams, the next 3 best records in each league. It's really going to be interesting to see how that works out. I don't know whether that's going to play to our advantage or not, but I personally think it's going to play to our advantage to do that. So let's take a look at division by division. Let's start with the AFC East. Now, the AFC East is going to be very interesting because, of course, Captain America is no longer in New England. So with him not being there anymore, it will be interesting to see how that pans out. Now we're wide open as far as who's going to win. I think the best team in the AFC East is the Buffalo Bills. I think they are. They should be following up on what they did last year. I think they have the potential to be good. I'm not going to say great, but sorry, y'all. I had to turn down my with him not being there volume. Sorry about that. But I think the Buffalo Bills are going to be the team to beat in that division. Do I honestly see anybody else in that division going to the playoffs? Probably not. Tell me what y'all think. We're gonna do division winners. Let's go right here. I see some of y'all jumping the gun on me. I'm gonna go through each division. So y'all hold tight with me on the divisions. We're gonna go straight through each one. So let's talk about the AFC East right now. The AFC East. Who do you have winning the division? Who do you have in the playoffs? Again, I think Buffalo is going to win the division, and I don't think there's going to be another representative. I think New England is going to be different with whether it's Cam, whether it's Stidham. I don't think it matters. I think they're going to be an 8-8 team, maybe 9-7, but I don't think they're going to be as great as this year. But I look at Buffalo. I see Philip says Buffalo. Frank says Buffalo wins that division. Jimmy says, I say Buffalo, but don't be shocked if the New York does with Jamal out as a distraction. That could be a possibility too. You're absolutely right. That could absolutely happen. Gregory says Buffalo, but don't sleep on Cam's. Prove it the year. Again, with Cam, I don't think it's about being athletic, man. I think it's all between the ears. I really do. I don't think Cam is going to be able to deal with that media scrutiny in the Northeast, man. It's a different folks coming out there. Y'all know he get hurt when people talk about him. Y'all know Cam got a tendency to whine a little bit. And I think when those folks come asking those questions, I think he's going to fall under the pressure. I really think he is. And I think mentally, that's the only thing to me that stops Cam. I think Cam can be one of the greatest players. And he was MVP. But even the MVP year, the 2 games that he lost was probably the worst, looking games you saw. That's it. So Brandon said ditto on the AFC East. JD said, sorry, I couldn't stop. Brandon says you telling the truth about the sports media in Boston, way tougher than Charlotte and Auburn. Absolutely. And Auburn, they didn't care. Auburn said, just win, baby. I don't care how many laptops you stole or how many churches y'all build down there. It's all good. Jimmy says Cam's accuracy is bad in New England. Being a passing team is not as good running the 7-9, especially with the opt-outs. Brandon's Gazette media market will call you out. They'll call you out and have you for dinner. So I look at the AFC East, y'all, and I'm looking at Buffalo as the team that is going to come out of there. I don't really see anybody else. A league that's going to intrigue me, the division that's going to intrigue me in the AFC, which is actually pretty good, will be the AFC North. Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Bengals, and Cleveland. I guess the question is, will the reigning MVP be able to back up his year that he had last year? I like Lamar Jackson. Can he back it up with another year? I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe he can. I still think Baltimore is the class of the division. The Steelers are going to be very interesting to see. Roethlisberger is coming back, and Roethlisberger acts like he's motivated. Remember, it was a couple of years ago where he wasn't even sure he was going to play or not. But I like Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh is going to be pretty good. Cleveland, I'm still not a Baker Mayfield guy. I think Baker Mayfield is going to go down to me like Matt Stafford. A lot of hype and until he gets it between his head and between his ears. I think he's going to fall in that. And the Bengals, look, Joe Burrow, I think Joe Burrow is going to make a difference. I'm not sure if he's ready to make a playoff appearance difference, but I think he's going to make a big difference in the play of the Bengals. So I look in this division as Baltimore being the class of the AFC North. And I am going to pick a wild card team out of this division, and that's going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think Roethlisberger realizes that, especially if he's healthy, if he stays healthy, I think Roethlisberger is going to try to put together what could be one of his last couple of seasons in the NFL. So I think that's how you go with that. JD says he likes Pittsburgh and Baltimore. Perry says he likes Baltimore to win the division. Frank say the Steelers wins the division. And you can kind of go either way with that. I don't think it makes a difference. Philip says he thinks the Ravens are going to win. Again, Pittsburgh, to me, I think they're still going to be good. I think they're still capable of going 9-7. But Baltimore right now, I think, is just the class, even with the loss of Earl Thomas, which is really kind of a blip to me. I think they're still going to be good. Gregory says Baltimore, of course, they look like a little hit in the secondary. Can't deny Earl on-field play regardless of his issues. Earl's just too expensive. He is expensive. That's what I'm saying. I don't think you can overpay him. Just for those folks who always think that they're going to get Legion of Boom Earl Thomas, I don't think that's what they're going to get. I think they're going to get Earl Thomas, who's in his 30s. Perry says Cleveland is my wild card with all that talent. Baker better step up or retire. It's the problem. It was his second year, and he had all that talent last year, and I just don't see. He's going to have to show me, kind of in a Tack McKinley way. You got to show me. I don't want to see commercials. I don't care how much Hulu you're doing. I just got to see it on the field. David says 2 playoff teams come out of the North, the Ravens and the Steelers. I hear you. That's what this looks like to me. I'll go with the Ravens and I'll go with the Steelers in that division. The next division last year ended up being pretty strong. They put 2 teams in, and the Colts tried to play a little bit to the end, but ended up bouncing down. Indianapolis has Phillip Rivers. Here's my problem with the Phillip Rivers thing. Phillip Rivers, Phillip Rivers had a team in Los Angeles, the Chargers, that had a lot of talent on it. And sometimes I saw him throw some of the goofiest interceptions last year. And this isn't the first time. I mean, even the year before when they went to the playoffs, he might have been one of the reasons they didn't make it as far as they did. And a lot of people, and there's a whole other tangent, Phillip Rivers is a Hall of Fame quarterback. And I just say to myself, I was like, listen, Phillip Rivers is good. But boy, if y'all criticize number 2 like you do, how are you going to have Phillip Rivers not in the same conversation as being inconsistent? The Texans, of course, Deshaun Watson, who's getting ready to come up on his 5th year here in a minute. Still can't count them out. I think they probably were hurt. They're going to miss Hopkins, even though I know my brother Will Fuller, right? The other wide receiver is pretty good, but Hopkins, that's going to be a big loss for them. I think Deshaun is still going to be good enough to get things done, and they still got Big JJ on the line, and I know he has a lot to prove. Coming off a half and half year where he, missed the first half, then came back strong in the second half. Tennessee, Derrick Henry left, Derrick Henry right. If you can do that, you can win. So I like Tennessee's chances. Jacksonville is Jacksonville. The fact that they're trying to trot Minshew out there like he's going to be all of that, I don't know. Brother Astro says Phillip Rivers was a great fantasy football player. Yeah, he's great fantasy, but add those interceptions up too, because he threw some really weird interceptions. I think I saw Anthony Lynn a couple of times just turn his head like, man, what do I do with this cat right here? So I understand the move from the coach standpoint. Jacoby Brissett, he did some okay things, but you probably needed that next level guy to take them to the next step. So I can understand taking it in, and maybe Jacoby will learn something from Rivers. But I like in this division. I gotta like Houston right now. I think Houston still got some work to do, but I think they'll be okay to win this division. And Tennessee, as long as Henry is still in the game, I look at Tennessee as being the wild card out of this division. Gregory says Cleveland ain't doing poop. Way too much pressure on Baker to spread the ball. Frank says Colts going to surprise folks and win that division. That'll be interesting, Frank. I listen. I just don't believe in Rivers. The rest of the team is okay. They got an offensive line that's actually pretty decent, but I just don't have faith in Rivers. I really don't. JD says Indianapolis Colts or Tennessee winning division. Well, okay, and y'all smelling the y'all tasting the Kool-Aid with Indianapolis. Perry says Tennessee easily. I can understand why Tennessee with a running game. Gregory, Tennessee. Henry is a grown man amongst boys. He is a force and hard to stop. JD, Houston is going to fall this year. That's an interesting thing. Listen, as long as you got Deshaun Watson, look, the Hopkins move was that was interesting to say the least. But I still think at the end of the day that's the team to beat. Philip says Texans. I missed that when he said that. JD says Bill O'Brien is the worst coach. He is, but sometimes I look at that situation like when Jim Mora was coaching Mike Vick. Jim Mora was not a good coach, but sometimes if you got good talent, it overcomes horrible coaching. Bill O'Brien basically coached them out of a number 2 seed with some of the decisions he made last year. Honestly, if it weren't for Josh Allen being young in the playoff appearance, he almost got fired. Andre say, I live in Houston, and unless things drastically change, I can't see them doing anything. Plus, the hurricane season is here with COVID. Going to be a mess. Andre, you be safe down there, man. They got a double whammy hitting down there in the Gulf, and I know Marco is hitting Texas today. So stay safe down there, brother. Y'all be good. David says, no faith in the Colts. Phillip Rivers threw way too many dumb picks. No nuke. Hopkins and Fuller can't stay healthy. Jacksonville, it is what it is. I have to go with Tennessee. Excellent analysis. I can understand why people would say Tennessee in that division. Again, if you have just a bell cow running back like Henry, you do what you do. JD says, I still believe Phillip got it in him. But it's interesting, though. I would argue that he had more talent last year in LA, I'm sorry, Chargers than he has here in Indianapolis. Now, he has younger talent that is still pretty good. Again, they have a decent offensive line, but I don't know. That's another one where you're going to have to show me. Frank said, I think Watson is not going to have the year everybody thinks he has. He should because of the Hopkins trade. That wouldn't shock me, but sometimes I also think, and I kind of nervously thought about that if Julio would leave, does that kind of open everything up as well, though? Somebody was saying earlier about David was saying about Fuller staying healthy, and which is absolutely a concern. But sometimes when the big money receiver isn't there, that's the time for the other folks to shine. And I really think Deshaun Watson is a top 10 potential quarterback in the NFL. He can make other players better. So I have more faith in Watson making that team that much better. So that's why I tend to lean towards Houston for me. JD says, I don't think Houston, Texans win the divisions. I feel bad for Watson. Frank says Rivers will do a little better because of the O-line. And that will make a better difference because stop y'all. Old school, sorry. The Chargers are always going to be San Diego to me. My bad. But the offensive line, again, staying upright makes a big difference. So that offensive line might give him a little bit more. JD says Indianapolis has the best offensive line in the league. I call them steel workers. Oh, and like I said, they're good. And boy, that guard they got out there, boy, that man is the truth. So last in the AFC, but certainly not least, is the AFC West, which happens to sport the reigning Super Bowl champions in Kansas City. I don't see any reason to even debate why I would pick them to win the division. That really shouldn't be much of the discussion. I guess the discussion would be, are any of the other teams good enough to Nelson? Thank you, Frank. That's a Quentin Nelson. Thank you, brother. Are are any of the other teams good enough to challenge or make a wild card? Look at the Broncos, who have a decent team. You know that. Look at their defense, which was what they really hung their hat on. Their defense played some weird games last year where they gave up a lot of big plays and a lot of yards last year. I'm not thinking they're not resembling the defense of a few years ago in the Super Bowl, but I still like the core of their defense. So they have the potential. And then with my man coming from the Chargers to come help them out, I think that's going to be a really good 1-2 punch back there in the backfield. I like Denver as my wild card team coming out of the AFC West. I do. I think the Chargers, Tyrod will probably start the year, but I'm sure they're just warming up for Justin Herbert to do his thing. I'm not sure if he's going to be the guy this year, but I do like the potential of him. He's actually pretty good. Philip says he's not answering this. And then the Chargers, then the Raiders. Look, Carr is in a situation right now where, look, him and Gruden are probably playing for their life right now. They're going to Las Vegas, and I know the fans aren't going to be there, so don't get me wrong. But going to a new city, I'm pretty sure you want to have a great first impression. So next year, you will have the fans and you will have the folks there to root for you. I know the Raider Nation will make their way out to the desert. But aside of the running back who was still, Jacoby is still pretty much a beast. I still think they're probably a year away from really doing anything. I think the Raiders might come in third place, but I don't see them making that wild card. So I'm going to go Kansas City, Broncos. The Raiders are going to give the Broncos a run for that wild card, but I think at the end of the day, I think it'll be Denver coming away with it. JD said I wouldn't be surprised if the Raiders make the wild card. Neither would I. I'm not going to be shocked if they do. Andre, I'm so sick and tired of hearing about Kansas City. I do think they are overrated. I really do. The only problem is, and trust me, I'm not a huge Kansas City guy at all. But boy, when you have the Lombardi in your facility, I get it. But you can't be overrated as the champs. Now, in legacy, make greatest Super Bowl teams, yeah, you can judge that. But if they beat the other 31 teams, it's kind of hard. It's hard to go against that. It really is. Frank says Chief wins the division, but don't be surprised if the Broncos sneak up on folks. I'm thinking that too, man. The Broncos, you have a good running game. Melvin Gordon, man, he's looking for some redemption too. You have a running game, man. You can do some things. So don't be shocked. JD said won't be shocked if the Raiders make the playoffs. Gregory says Kansas City ain't nothing to discuss with Kelsey. No answer for the tight end and Hill. And complimented but with Sammy Watkins. Listen, the offense is not going to be their issue. And then I love the draft pick, the young guy out of LSU that they picked up. But I think Kansas City is the team to beat in the West. I can't even fight with that. So again, when you look at the divisions, I have them on my board over here. Kansas City, Buffalo, Houston, Baltimore are my divisions. Pittsburgh, Tennessee, and Denver are my wild cards. And in the AFC, I'm sorry. I got to say Kansas City right now because I'm trying to see what team is going to stop them. We got a long way to go, but I don't see anybody right now that has the potential to stop them. Perry says AFC, Kansas City wins, Denver second wild card, and third wild card, Oakland. Okay, I hear you. I hear you. I'm gonna give the rest for you right there. You got New England winning the East. You got Baltimore winning the North, and Tennessee winning the South. Okay, I hear you. Andre says, I feel like it's a gimmick. Yes, for a year they were amazing to watch, but this is the NFL. After you get away to it for one season, the teams catch up and find ways to stop you. They always have, and you're right about that. Philadelphia, very lucky to sneak that in. I hate that we didn't get our chance to close the deal like we should have, because as you see, you get that one shot and then everybody's after you. I think this year it will be very interesting because there will be no true home field advantage this year, unless they let you turn the music up louder when the visiting team comes up. I don't know, but you will see what team is better than the other team, because there's not going to be any momentum stirred around from outside in the stadium. So the only time that'll come in play is, like, I'm thinking about Seattle having to travel to Atlanta. There is no substitute for that day that you're going to miss traveling from Seattle to Atlanta. That's a big deal, as opposed to being the home team where you stay where you are. That right there is a huge deal. But that's how I look at the AFC. I think Kansas City wins the AFC pretty handily. Okay, so let's get over to our favorite conference, the NFC, and let's start with probably my most hated division, and that's the NFC East. NFC East, just take a pick. I hate them all, to be honest with you. So, Dallas Cowboys, who, just continue to amaze me. Now, McCarthy coming in this year, it will be interesting because you stuck with Garrett for a long time, and he obviously overstayed his welcome. Maybe McCarthy might be able to stir some things up, possibly. He has the weapons. He has a hungry Dak who's trying to get a contract. He has Ezekiel, who's just signed a huge contract. Let's see what he's going to do. I even hate talking positive about Dallas, but for the sake of what we're talking about, you can't deny their talent. And they do have some pretty good defensive players on that team, including picking up Alden Smith, who hasn't played in 5 years. It'll be interesting to see how that turns out. The Eagles are back. The Eagles with Carson Wentz. Still have a couple of folks on that team. Are they the team that won the Super Bowl? No, but I still think that they have the potential to be a problem. Washington, Dennis Haskins, man. I'm sorry. I don't know. I'm not a believer. Not sure if he's going to be. I don't know. Listen, I didn't think he was a good pick coming out, to be honest. I know what he did in college, but I probably have to see a little bit more. But Washington looks like they're in trouble. The Giants, they're still in rebuilding mode. So Daniel Jones, good luck. But he'd probably be able to get a couple of wins in this division, but I don't know. Ooh, picking a winner. I don't want to pick a winner because I don't think any of them are winners. But if I have to use my little bit of football knowledge that I think I have, I got to go with Dallas in this division. You got to. Jimmy says the NFL least. I have to go with Dallas because I think Dallas is the most talented team. And I also think that McCarthy may make a little bit of a difference other than Red Rover coaching the team. I honestly don't think there will be a wild card out of this division. I think they'll be like last year, where the winner might be 8-8 or 9-7. I just don't think they're that good. I don't think any of these teams are that good. JD says, real question, do you think Washington should start Alex Smith? It'll be interesting to see if they put him on the field. I know he just got released and off the pup list, and he's back and trying to practice. It will be a feel-good story, and to be honest with you, it may be what you need to do to let Haskins learn. Every quarterback coming out of the draft can't jump right in and start on day one. And I do believe, listen, Alex Smith is a winner. He won in San Francisco. He won in Kansas City. You can't deny that he's a winning guy. So maybe that might be the good move to do to put him at starting quarterback. Philip says, I hate to say it, but the Cowgirls, I know that's what you listen. I don't like saying it either. I got so many Cowboy haters and Lord, we got to deal with them in that second week. And oh man, I don't even want to think about that right now. Frank says the Cowgirls. Yeah, Cowgirls will win the division. I'll let y'all read the rest. JD says Philly and Dallas are overrated. They're overrated, but in a division where you have Washington and the Giants, unfortunately, somebody has to win the division. I don't even think they're over. I don't think you see prognosticators really calling any of those two guys really great. And the Dallas thing, you always have to remember, Dallas has that, almost like the Yankees. Dallas has that mystique of being America's team, and that's not going away. So you have more Dallas fans out there just hyping them up for the next year. There is not a great team in this division at all. So you're absolutely right about them being overrated. So don't feel like I'm trying to put them on a pedestal. I'm just trying to say in a 14 division, somebody has to win. And I think those are the best two teams that you have. Paris says NFC least, unfortunately, Dallas. Eagles, my first wild card. That's interesting. I don't think the Eagles are really that great. I think they're okay. Carson Wentz, he's pretty decent, but he hasn't been the beast that you saw starting a couple of years ago when you thought they were going to run the table. Nick Foles came in there and swept that up. Who knows? Carson Wentz could have come in. Shoot, we might have had a chance to go to the Super Bowl in 17. And the season 17. Frank says Alex Smith will start for the Redskins around week 7, maybe. I would start him though, Frank. Think about what Haskins can learn. I think it does more damage, and it sounds like we're pampering, but you have to when you think about a young quarterback. I think you stand a better chance of putting a veteran in there first, as opposed to letting Haskins start, get beat down, and then have to pull him. They made the first round pick. So you're hurting his psyche, and we shouldn't even be talking like that because he should have a strong constitution. I hope he doesn't have a melting constitution like our buddy Cam, but you have to let him see somebody else do the job. And what better person to see than Alex Smith? And I'm not saying that like Alex Smith is a Hall of Famer. I'm saying to see somebody who has taken two different teams to the playoffs before and has a winning mentality. JD says, honestly, any team can win this division. David says the Giants, Washington rebuilding, Eagles, will they stay healthy? Dallas will be distracted by Dak's contract, have to pick the Eagles because they have the better quarterback. I think the Eagles possibly do have a better quarterback. I think Dak is overrated. I think he's decent, but I think he's overrated. But I think Dallas has an overall right now better talented team, and we'll only know until they hit the field how they mesh as a team. But I do like Dallas's team as a whole in that division. RJ, just hope Nolan doesn't coach the defense like he coached us because they'll be in trouble defensively. I'm trying to tell you, boy, Mike Nolan, that Mike Nolan sold us a bag of goods with his defensive scheme. Chadwick says whoever wins, it will be one and done in the playoffs. I agree with that. RJ, and for Carson Wentz to say his rookie receiver reminds him of the great Julio Jones is pure disrespect, which is always interesting to me when people try to make comparisons. I saw that same thing when it's just like, yeah, right. Now you just put a bulletin board on that young man's back that he doesn't even deserve. I'm pretty sure he has confidence in himself, but I know he's not sitting around talking about he's better than him. Brother John Harris, what's going on, man? I thought you were at work, man. Philly was forced to get rid of the wrong quarterback. They absolutely were, because you already had invested in Wentz, so you had to make a decision to do that. So Gregory says, I've been telling my neighbor for years, Dak ain't it. He is very inaccurate, and his receivers bail out his inaccuracy most plays. Dak isn't that good. Dalton is better given their O-line and running game, which is always interesting. Listen, they got Dalton for a reason. They got Dalton just in case the contract talk stalled, which they have. And then they also probably got him to say, you know what? Yeah, at one time, even though Dalton had a really rough 2-year stretch, Dalton was making the playoffs. Marvin Lewis just couldn't coach those cats to a win. So you can't say he didn't have flashes of success. Look, Dak is okay, but I don't know. I think I don't think you could put that Dalton in there unless just something goes weird and off the rails. I still look at Dallas as the winner in that division and the only team that makes it into the playoffs. Okay, a division that I think is actually a decent division as well. The NFC North, they are top heavy as far as who I think are going to be the pretty good teams there. Minnesota, Kirk Cousins. I gotta give Kirk Cousins credit. Not only did he beat the Saints, which I give anybody credit for doing that, but Minnesota is one of those teams that's you kind of can't let sneak up on you. Dalvin Cook, and I know he's having some drama with his contract, but if Dalvin Cook comes to play, that could be some trouble. That could be some real trouble. I like Dalvin on that team. Green Bay, Aaron Jones, man. Nobody talked about Aaron Jones last year. Aaron Jones was the straw that stirred the coffee last year in Green Bay. When they have a running back that can actually do some things, Green Bay is a pretty good team. Chicago, they're a mess. The GM probably needs to get fired worse than the Metro. You ran all the way up there to the top to go get Mitchell Trubisky, and he has been a failure for you. You had the one chance. You had a chance. You really had a Super Bowl defense, and you wasted that a couple of years ago. Nick Foles, is he the answer? Can he take another starting man's job and steer them to the playoffs? I don't know. He might be able to, but I still think that you've got to have a quarterback in this league. You have to have a competent quarterback. Chicago doesn't have a competent quarterback. And Detroit, I'm sorry. I know Stafford is going through a lot this year. His wife having the tumors and stuff. So I know he's probably don't know what his focus is like. But either way, Detroit is not a strong team in that division. By a small slither of a hair, I like Green Bay, but I'm not going to be totally shocked if Minnesota wins the division. Either way, I think both of those teams do make the playoffs. Green Bay and the Vikings, interchangeable, but I think if you had to put my stamp on it, I think I like Green Bay in that division. John says, do you see the tweet that Ryan sent saying he needed to move more this year? I didn't, but good for him. He realized he probably does have to be a little mobile, maybe with the growing of the offensive line, but who knows? Listen, we didn't bring Matt Ryan in here to run. We brought Matt Ryan in here to throw touchdowns and hand the ball off to a good running back. This year we have a good running back, and hopefully this year with the weapons we have between Jones, Ridley, Hurst, and Gurley out the backfield, he can throw some touchdowns. So let's hope the blocking stays up. Philip says Green Bay. Frank says Green Bay wins. Minnesota makes the playoffs. Perry says Minnesota wins division. Green Bay second wild card. I can't disagree with that. Gregory says toss up between Minnesota with Dalvin Cook. That boy is the beast. And Green Bay with Aaron Jones. He slept on heavily. And let y'all know I'm not reading y'all quotes afterwards. So I'm glad y'all are echoing some of the things I'm saying. J.D. Jones is the biggest key of Green Bay, which is why they went 13-3. Again, don't sleep on what he meant for that team. When Green Bay has a decent running game, that's when they have prospered, when they have a good running back there. Gregory says Rodgers always make plays. Chadwick, I don't see Green Bay without the fans. Yeah, well, that's definitely something they'll lose home field advantage, but this is the thing, though. Every NFL team of all the years, you're going to truly see who the best team is. Because without the crowds, you don't have that. That momentum is a big thing in those games, man. More than almost any other thing, maybe baseball. But I don't even think baseball. Football, when Big Mo is on your side, that's a big deal. So what you're going to have this year are two teams on the field, and you will see which team is the best. No doubt. So maybe without the fans, but I still think Green Bay is a pretty good team. I like Green Bay, and then I like Minnesota as the wild card in that division. Got two divisions to go right here. Let's go to the NFC West division. Arizona shocked the world, making the big trade to get DeAndre Hopkins out there to give our buddy Kyler Murray another target. We heard the bad news about Robert Alford last week being out for the season. I think Arizona is an up-and-coming team in the division. Seattle, Russell Wilson, can't deny one of the top quarterbacks in the league. I'm just not a big fan of the rest of the squad as they're constructed right now. I don't think that they are. I think Russell Wilson has the potential to win every game if he's healthy and he's doing his Russell Wilson things. But other than that, I don't think they're that great of a team. The Legion of Boom thing, that's gone. Bobby Wagner is the last real player on that team from all of that. I just do not. I'm not a big fan of the rest of the team. Now, with that being said, can Russell by himself win 9 games? Absolutely. Absolutely he can. But as far as the rest of the team, I'm just not a huge fan. The Rams, they got rid of Gurley. Not a big deal for them. But they are going to need some help running the ball. I do like their defense still. You got Aaron Donald in there, so I still got to like what they're doing on defense. But Jared Goff, is Jared Goff a flash in the pan? Is he more along the lines of Carson Wentz? Had the one good year, and he's not going to do any better. You have to ask the question. Is he for real? San Francisco, who like Atlanta, is sitting back saying woulda, coulda, shoulda, but they did not do it. San Francisco has a really good squad. I think San Francisco is one of those teams that's probably going to end up getting better. I don't like Jimmy G that much. I think he's okay. He's not as game-changing as people want to try to make him. but I think the rest of that team is very talented. I think Kittle is off the chain. I think they have some pretty good defensive guys. They're going to miss Buckner on the defensive line, but I still think they have some supporting pieces still on the defense. That's okay. Richard Sherman, he's not really a factor, but I think he's a leader on that team. And somehow, some way, I think they're just going to will themselves to win in that division. And I know I just finished dogging out Seattle, but I tell you what, again, I'm just a respect guy for Russell Wilson. I think Russell Wilson will probably wheel his way to a wild card in this division. I think the fourth place team might end up being Arizona. That's how far I think the Rams are in trouble. I think the Rams, they still have some good pieces on offense, but I like what Arizona is trying to do up there. Don't be surprised if the Rams bring up the rear in the NFC West. So I'll say the Niners for the division, and I'll also say the Seattle for the wild card. JD says Seattle only. Chadwick says San Francisco wins. Perry says 49ers win. Frank says Seattle bums and not 49ers because they're not going to get Super Bowl hangover injury bug. I hear you. Gregory says three-headed monster in the division. Frisco, Seattle, and Arizona. See, you're right up my alley. I think Arizona is going to overcome the Rams this year. I'm not sure if they're going to get that playoff spot, but we'll see. Andre says, yet every sportscaster is saying they are going to beat us, which is funny because we have owned them the last few times we played them. I don't think you're talking about Seattle. JD says, I don't have faith in Jared Goff. Neither do I. I have faith in their defense, but I don't have faith in Jared Goff. Freddie says Goff is a bomb. JD says Jimmy G is overrated extremely, if you ask me. Gregory, Goff is hot, wet, dripping garbage. I'm still pissed off at the top 100 for snubbing Matt Ryan for this garbage. Yeah, it's one of those things like, again, it's a popularity contest when you have those things. Look, Falcons go back and do their thing. You'll see 4 Falcons on the list again. It's a straight popularity contest. As far as I don't even get worked up over the top 100 stuff. They had the top 100 player. And remember, they do that voting after the season. They did that voting after the season, and somebody says not only Malcolm Thomas is better than Julio Jones, but they actually say Lamar Jackson overall is better than Mahomes, which to me, yeah, you won the MVP, but Mahomes is the best quarterback right now in the NFL at this moment. John says, please don't give me the carryover momentum from the previous year. I don't know about Green Bay, Rodgers, and LaFleur may explode at any time. I still think Green Bay is going to do their thing. Jimmy says the Rams will sorely miss Todd Gurley. I think they will too. That division again, I look at San Francisco and Seattle. And last but not least, our division, which we talked about a little bit last week, the NFC South. The NFC South, which I'm not even sure it's going to be as close as people are thinking it's going to be as far as the two teams that I think are the best two teams in the South. I think the best two teams are us and the scrubs down there in the Bayou. And when I say scrubs in the Bayou, I also say prayers to those folks who happen to be down there because we don't want anybody to be hurt down there with that hurricane coming in. You guys batten down the hatches. You're getting a double whammy out there. We don't want you to be hurting down there. So from a personal standpoint, hope you do well. But from a football standpoint, y'all can kick rocks. But I do think, despite the rock kicking, that the Saints are the second best team in the division this year. I think Tampa Bay is third. I'm not smelling the coffee on Tom Brady. I'm not going to fall for it. I can't do it. I think this year the Falcons are under the radar. I think nobody is thinking about the additions they made. I think nobody is looking at the fact that Raheem had that defense run into the ball. I think nobody's looking at the fact that Fowler's going to come in and immediately help that sack quotient back there. I think Tat McKinley is motivated, as he said he was, and he's going to try his best to audition for his next team. I look at the Falcons as a legitimate 10-6 team. And I think 10-6 is going to be good enough to win this division. Now, the scrubs from New Orleans, there's no denying Kamara is still the weapon that he is. I respect that. I think he's going to be still hard to deal with. Michael Thomas, again, if we could just stop the 5-yard slant, we should be able to stop their game. I know they got the brother from Denver to come help out, but I still don't look at them as being this juggernaut team. I think New Orleans ends the year at 9-7. I do think they slip in, but I think they're going to be 9-7 this year. Tampa Bay, I'm sorry. If you told me Tom Brady was coming the year before we went to the Super Bowl against him, or maybe even 2 years ago, I would have said it. Have y'all watched the games? Tom Brady is not Tom Brady. He is not. So this is not even a homer thing. It's not a homer thing. It's not a hater thing. Tom Brady is not that guy. So I look at Tampa Bay maybe being 8-8, possibly. And Carolina, I think they're going to be lucky to win 4 games this year. Love the fact that Bridgewater got an opportunity to go down there and finally get his starting job back and get a chance to do that. But in this division, I sit here right now before you 3 weeks in, and I say Atlanta wins this division. I say it confidently. Atlanta wins the division. New Orleans sneaks in at 9-7, but the Tom Brady experiment, I don't see that working. I don't. Saw Bruce Arians came out about Gronkowski and said he's in New England shape, not in Florida shape. But I tell you what, he better get used to it, because that Florida weather ain't going away. Brother Phillip says he goes with the Falcons in the division this year. Perry says the Falcons win the division. The Aints, the final wild card. JD, Falcons are going to shock these analysts. I think they are too. Frank, Falcons win the division. Bucks make the playoffs, and ain't going to have a bad season. Chadwick said Brady will get hurt game 4. Chadwick, I'd go one better and say game 3. Because I'm going to tell you, this is not the Jets and Buffalo, pre-Buffalo, and Miami that you're going to be playing. I tell you that. And the points that we're going to put up, you better match us point for point. Gregor says, ATL, South belongs to us. People crazy to think Brady can convert easily from a 20-year system to get a new job. Try that one on your job. Exactly. Great point, Gregory. Chadwick says 12-4. Perry says NFC North, Minnesota, South, Dallas, NFC East, Dallas, NFC West, 49ers, wild card, Eagles, Green Bay, Aints, left out Seattle, Tampa, Arizona. I can't disagree with any of that. RJ, Falcons for the win, rise up. Andre says, okay, long one, bear with me. I think we will blow them all out when Matt has a solid run game and we can consistently run the play action. Matt puts up unbelievable numbers. We are the only team that's at its core, it has been the same. So with COVID and no ability to have preseason games, they're going to have the ability to mesh. That is such a good point when you start talking about teams that have been together. This year of all years is going to be more important that they know each other, that this team, the core of the team, knows each other. That's an excellent point that you bring up. And that could be the difference in a game or two. That's why, to me, Tampa Bay is going to be, with no preseason games, Tampa Bay might not even hit their stride by game 5. And Brother Chad would say Tom Brady will be hurt by then. So that'll be good. But that's an excellent point. Excellent point. JD says Tampa Bay defense is suspect. Tom Brady is not Tom Brady. David says stop listening to Skip Bayless when it comes to Brady. Oh, man. RJ says, I think our defense will be the biggest surprise. Welcome to the South Sack City. Listen, I hope, RJ, if we can put up some sacks this year, man, that's going to be crazy. That's going to be absolutely crazy. Perry says Falcon versus 49ers. Falcon in NFC. Falcons versus Kansas City. Week 17, going to be a Super Bowl preview. Be back to you in a second with that. Armand said, how do you feel this year's draft will be affected since a lot of conferences are not playing this year? Again, that's what we were talking about that earlier, Armand, that you're going to have a lot of faith in your scouting, because basically, especially those conferences that aren't playing, you're going to be going by what they do in the gym and what they did on tape last year. But remember, with these young men maturing and their bodies maturing between 19 and 20, 20 and 21, it's going to be it's a very good point. It's an excellent point, actually, because how do you make the grades? I mean, how do you grade that? It's a very good question, bro. It's going to be a crapshoot. I mean, you're going to have Lawrence and Justin Fields out in the top 5 somewhere. But as far as the rest of the guys' skill position, you're going to have to go by 2019's tape, which could be different. These guys could get a little bigger, lose a little weight, lose desire after a year not playing. You don't know. Yeah, Matt has those summer camps. Absolutely, he does. And that's what I think is going to make the difference, being able to be with those guys and being able to work with them throughout the year. That's going to pay its dividends. So let's go to the NFC. What we look like in the NFC, we said Green Bay, we said Dallas, we said San Francisco, and we said the Falcons. Wild card teams, Minnesota, the Seahawks, and the New Orleans Saints. I see the NFC Championship being Atlanta Falcons versus the Green Bay Packers. And I look for another slaughter in Atlanta and Green Bay losing to the Falcons. And I'm looking at it, Atlanta, Kansas City, Super Bowl preview. I'm looking at you with a straight face, and I'm sitting here telling you the Atlanta Falcons, if they play their game and they don't beat themselves, can be right back in this thing again this year. So again, that's the thing that you have to think about. Don't beat yourselves. That's our biggest problem the last couple of years. Do not beat yourselves. Andre says, plus MR2, it loves Jones. And I know Jones is humble, but I'm sure they're both tired of hearing him behind that bum and that ugly black and gold jersey. So he's putting up 1,500 yards this year. Look, the real people, Andre, they already know who the best wide receiver in the game is. So, but I hear you. Julio's not going to make a big deal of it. He's going to go out there on the field and do his thing. Listen, we got 3 weeks. Again, I'm going to have more news about it at the end. I'm going to try to do streaming for the games where we're watching the games at the same time, not on screen. Obviously, we don't have copyrights for that. But where we have the reaction, what they call the reaction videos, I'm going to be doing that during the year. So I'll give you guys more information on that so y'all can still watch the game, but maybe have me on the side on there so we can talk about it, still comment about it, and everybody can join each other during the year. I think it's going to be fun. I think this is going to be a great interactive year this year. Glad you all joined me today. We'll be back next week when it'll be 2 weeks before the NFL season starts. Until then, listen, y'all have a great night. Thank y'all for joining me. And as always, y'all have a good one. Peace. Y'all be safe out there. Those folks out there in Houston, New Orleans, the Gulf, everybody stay safe, man. And that stuff is real out there. And we'll catch y'all next week. Peace and rise up.